The St. Louis Cardinals have an opportunity to really cement themselves as a threat in the NL Central. The mission? Beat the Chicago Cubs this week.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm a national radio sports anchor, born and raised in the Loop and a lifetime Cardinals fan, and I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. You can follow me on Twitter, X, at JD Sports Radio. You can follow the podcast at LO_Cardinals. Want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube. Make sure you hit that notification button so you know when the new episodes are posted. Like, subscribe, comment. You know the drill. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. So the NL Central, once again, not picked by very many to be a very good division overall. As far as the overall look for the National League, nobody is picking somebody from the NL Central to be one of those teams that are going to make the World Series. You know, in the West, you've got the mighty Dodgers who are trying to buy a championship. They got the Ohtani signing along with Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who we'll talk about in a little bit. They made some other free agent additions as well. And to their credit, a lot of young, talented pitchers that they've been able to develop or trade away to get even more talent. So it's not like they bought everybody, but they spent quite a bit of money, though. We know that. The Padres, they also tried their hand at spending a bunch of money to bring home a championship. Didn't work out, but they've got a lot of fun players still on their team. And Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado, they made the moves for Dylan Cease and Luis Arraez. The Arizona Diamondbacks, they just went to the World Series last year. They added former Cardinal Jordan Montgomery and some other pieces. In the East, you've got the Phillies, who are arguably the best team in baseball and most complete team in baseball right now. The Braves, who have been hit by some major injuries to their ace Spencer Strider, catcher Sean Murphy, plus Ronald Acuna Jr. is way off from the production that you saw from him last season yet. They're 29-18 and have former Cardinal Marcelo Ozuna just going bonkers right now. He's hitting 320 with 15 jacks and 47 RBIs. Like, what? Then in the Central, it's the Brewers with the 8th best record in the league, despite trading away Corbin Burns, despite losing Brandon Woodruff and Devin Williams to injuries. I mean, those are three huge pieces for that team. And then you've got the Chicago Cubs, who are in town this weekend. They're sitting at 27-24. They're 2 games back of Milwaukee, despite going 3-7 in their last 10. And until recently, they'd played some pretty good baseball. They really had, despite dealing with a number of different injuries. Cody Bellinger was out for a bit with fractured ribs. Dansby Swanson was on the IL, had a right knee sprain. Seiya Suzuki out with an oblique. Justin Steele, their top pitcher, coming in from last year, missed a good chunk of time with a hammy. Nico Horner just getting back from a hammy issue. So they haven't been fully healthy, and yet they haven't been that bad, to be honest. They really haven't. Again, being 27-24 and just 2 games back of the Brewers, despite missing all of those guys, it's a pretty good job. And they stole the Brewers manager and Craig Counsell, who, you got to admit, one of the best managers in all of baseball. So, Cardinals know about injury issues. The Cardinals have dealt with them too, specifically in the outfield. But the Cubs have been going through it just like the Cardinals and like a lot of teams around the league right now. And they were able to keep their head above water. So this is a decent team. The problem for them lately has been their offense. That's where the problem's been recently. I mentioned they had gone, 3-7 in their last 10. On Thursday, they just got shut out by the Braves 3-0, which was the 5th time that they'd been blanked in their past 25 games. Through the Cubs' first 26 games this season, so through April 26th, they were pretty good. The offense produced a 250, 330, 411 slash line, average 5.4 runs per game, which is good. Since April 27th, going into yesterday's game, Chicago had a 201, 290, 328 slash line and an output of 3.3 runs per game. Sound familiar, Cardinals fans? 3 runs per game? Yeah, that's something the Cardinals have dealt with. And you're hearing similar things out of the Cubs camp that we've been hearing out of Cardinals camp about their offense. Stuff like, these guys have consistently done it in the past. They'll be fine. Just need to show some patience. We're in a rut. We'll get out of it. They'll start hitting again. It's the same stuff that we've been fed in St. Louis for the first month and a half of the season. And finally, in the last 10 games, the Cardinals have started to break out of this offensive funk and have been looking more and more like the Cardinals offense we thought we were going to have this season. So the Cardinals are kind of catching the Cubs at an opportune time where they aren't hitting all that great, which is great news for the Cardinals pitching staff, who, despite doing pretty well against the Baltimore Orioles, had, let's be honest, they've regressed a little bit. They were much better earlier on in the season, but if you want the fans to start believing in you again, which is where we're at with the Cardinals right now, where we're turning this thing around, and you're trying to get the fans back on your side in full force. So if you want them to start believing in you again, you want butts in the seats, although I am assuming that this weekend is going to be packed at Busch Stadium, which I can't wait to see. That's fantastic, because you want the return of the baseball heaven type of feels and vibes at Busch Stadium for a series like this. You want all that to return the way it used to be, then this weekend's going to be huge. You have got to beat the Chicago Cubs. That's what you got to do. Simple, right? If you drop 2 of 3, or heaven forbid you get swept in this series, then you better hide somewhere good. You better have somewhere picked out, like in Merrimack Caverns or something, that you can hide in. Like, just because people are going to go nuts. People are going to freak the hell out if the Cardinals get embarrassed this weekend by the Chicago Cubs. We're hoping that doesn't happen. Now, we're going to rip through the pitching matchups and why tonight going to be a tough night at the plate, probably for the team rocking their new City Connect jerseys. We'll talk about it next on Locked On Cardinals. Going to baseball games in St. Louis, it's a tradition, right? Even if the team is losing, which they've done plenty of over the first, month and a half of this season, pretty much over the last 2 years, although they're turning things around. I'm not trying to sound negative. I'm just saying you still go to the ballpark even in these type of years, right? You make the trek to Ballpark Village, and then you go down to Busch Stadium to cheer on the Cardinals. And when you need tickets to the game, look no further than the Gametime app. Tickets this weekend are going to be tough to come by, right? Gametime app's going to have you covered here. They're the authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster, easier, and cheaper. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch with those killer last-minute deals. They've got the all-in prices. You get views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets to Major League Baseball games. Last-minute deals where you can save up to 60% off buying for not only baseball and sports in general, but you've also got concerts, you've got comedy, you got theater. I just bought tickets for me and the wife to go to the game on Wednesday. It's a day game at Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. We're going to be there, front row, right center field. Tickets were $15 a piece on the Gametime app. Yeah, $15 a piece. You can find parking on there as well. It's fantastic. I'm telling you. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Gametime. It's very, very simple. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply. Create your account, redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB. That's LOCKEDON MLB for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own, because right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Again, that's $150 to bet on spreads or money lines, player props, and a whole lot more. There's a slew of things that you can bet on with the FanDuel app. Now, in the NBA, tonight's game on Friday, you got Mavs and T-Wolves. Minnesota favored by 5.5. Tons of prop bets, obviously, for Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic, Kyle Irving. It's up to you on who you believe in. There's a really popular parlay bet with Kyrie scoring 30 or more, Karl Anthony Towns scoring 25 or more, both of them making 4 or more three-pointers for $10. You put $10 on that and it hits, you win $378. NHL, you got the Panthers and the Rangers. Panthers are favored in that one. Plenty of parlays there too. PGA Tour, they got Charles Schwab Challenge. Known criminal Scotty Scheffler leading the way. I'm kidding about the criminal thing. You got to laugh a little bit about what happened there. Cardinals and Cubs. Cubs favored by 1.5 tonight with Shota Imanaga on the hill against Miles Michaelis. So get in on the action. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day and have to turn down the volume because they keep shouting at you? Well, then make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all of the screaming. It's streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Remember, you can catch every pitch of the Cardinals hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app. Search the word Cardinals. And thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Leave your comments on YouTube. You can also hit me up on Twitter X. That feedback always welcome and encouraged. The offseason for the Cardinals. Remember when we were scouring the globe for pitching? That's what the Cardinals needed. We needed a bunch of new pitchers. And they went out and got some. But we spent a lot of time this offseason talking about players overseas, foreign players, playing in different leagues that were coming over to the States to play. Yoshinobu Yamamoto obviously was a big name, big headliner that the big market teams were chasing. So far, it has not been Yoshinobu Yamamoto that's been turning heads here in the United States. It's actually been the Cubs' Shota Imanaga. Now, Yamamoto has been very, very good. Don't get me wrong. He was younger. He's only 25. He obviously cost a lot more, 12 years, $325 million to sign with the Dodgers. But so far this year, he's 5-1. He's got an ERA of 3.17, 61 Ks in 54 innings. Pretty darn good. But Shota Imanaga, although older at age 30 and significantly cheaper with a 4-year, $53 million deal with the Cubs, is 5-0 so far this year with a microscopic 0.84 ERA. His whip, 0.91. He's been virtually unhittable. And on top of that, the dude has got some flair. All right. When he's out on the mound, you can tell he's competing and he's giving it everything he's got out there. He shows a passion. He shows an energy for the game that personally, I love it. I freaking love it. I love it when people show emotion out there on the mound. This is one of the reasons why Chris Carpenter, one of my favorite pitchers of all time in a Cardinals uniform. And even though Imanaga is a Chicago Cub, you got to respect the game. You got to respect the game. Here's a picture of him right here. Not a big dude. Now, granted, these are some of the women who play in the WNBA, which make him look a little small. We would all look like this next to these ladies, but he's not a big guy. Not a big guy whatsoever. But the dude's good. He doesn't have overpowering stuff. Fastball sits around 92 miles per hour. But the delivery, the release point, these are apparently part of the reasons why he's been very, very tough to hit so far this year. Now, Jesse Rogers at ESPN did an article about him and said, while the fastball is pedestrian in an ERA of high-velocity aces, the pitch's movement coming from his deceptive delivery is giving the opposition fits to the tune of a 164 batting average. Braves bench coach Walt Weiss called it an optical illusion. And Atlanta's hitters agreed after being held scoreless for 5 innings by Imanaga earlier this month. Ozzie Albies, very good second baseman for the Braves, said his fastball plays up, so whenever you try to get on him, you foul it off. Most players' swing it is to lift the ball, and if it has that little ride, you foul it off or swing and miss, and that's what plays great for him. Their first baseman, Matt Olson, coming off a monster year, says he hides the ball really well. It plays harder than what the radar gun is saying, and he has really good ride on his fastball. It comes from behind his head. Now, the next pitch in Imanaga's arsenal that is frustrating hitters is the splitter, which, if he's throwing 92, it drops to 83 miles per hour, despite looking like a fastball coming in. and then it actually drops in the opposite direction of where his fastball goes. In Rogers' article, he had a quote from Pirates manager Derek Shelton, who said, "This guy is going to give hitting coaches nightmares. The separator is the splitter, looks like a strike. Even the splits he throws in the zone that are strikes have so much action, and there is just a lot of deception in the delivery." Now, as far as his splits go so far this season, Imanaga, I mean, nobody's hit him well, obviously, with the numbers I read to you. But right-handers are batting just 183 against him with a 483 OPS. They have hit 3 home runs off of him. Lefties are hitting a robust 255 against him in just 47 plate appearances, but they don't have a single extra base hit against him yet this season, which is bad news for the Cardinals, who have a lot of good left-handed hitters in their lineup. Home and away splits, they're even more hilarious. At Wrigley Field, he's 2-0 in 5 starts, got an ERA of 1.20. On the road, this dude has been almost unhittable. 3-0 in 4 starts, the ERA at 0.38. He's allowed only 1 earned run on the road this year. 1. Needless to say, the Cardinals are going to have their hands full on Friday night against this diminutive left-hander. Short in stature, but man, does he play big on the mound. The team is hitting just 205 on the year against left-handers. So it's going to be up to some of these righties who normally hit right-handers or left-handers very good to kind of carry the team tonight. You got Goldie, Arenado, Ivan Herrera, Mason Wynn. These are guys that are going to need to do some damage tonight. Goldie and Arenado have actually seen Imanaga in action. They got to witness him at the WBC, the World Baseball Classic. So maybe they picked up on something during their time during the WBC that can help boost them tonight. This is a game where missing out on Wilson Contreras really, really stinks because he's been so good against left-handers. And, it never hurts to have him going up against the Cubs where you've got that kind of revenge game aspect going on against Chicago. So kind of sucks he's not going to be around. But we're going to talk about the other pitching matchups. Specifically, we'll talk about Cardinals starter Miles Mikolas next and how the rest of this weekend's matchups shape up. Plus, we're going to have some broadcast booth fun going on this weekend as well. That's all coming up next for you on Locked On Cardinals. Baseball season is in full swing, so don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your PrizePicks entries. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, take your pick of more or less and add them to your PrizePicks entry today. Now, testing my skills on PrizePicks this baseball season is the most exciting way for me because I watch a lot of baseball. That's how I like to play daily fantasy sports. And if you've got the skills, you can turn $10 into $100 with just a few taps. Now, I just told you all of the stats and how good Shota Imanaga has been this year. Are you willing to bet against the Cardinals and bet on him to make some money? You going to do that? Or do you think the Cardinals rise to the occasion? They continue with this momentum they've been building and winning 8 of their last 10, and they surprise everyone tonight and defeat Imanaga for the first time this season. It's up to you. You got to make that decision for you, but it's quick and simple to play. You can make your picks, submit your entries, and do it all in less than 60 seconds. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, an enormous selection of players. You don't have to do Cubs Cardinals. You can go against other teams that are out there, but all sorts of stat types. And that's what makes PrizePicks the number one daily fantasy sports app. So give it a try. Download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Don't miss out on your chance to cash in on all of your sports knowledge. Download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB. First deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with PrizePicks. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. It's now also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. So Miles Mikolas will get the ball tonight for the Cardinals, and his overall numbers, I know, they're not great. They're not great. He's 3-5, the ERA 5.77. Not great. All right, we know that. Teams are hitting 294 against him. which is the 5th highest batting average against in baseball so far this year. And it usually comes down to like one bad inning for Miles, right? Like it seems like he'll have 2 or 3 really good innings and then just disaster in one inning. And what looks like he's going to cruise to a 6-7 inning outing ends up getting cut short at like 4, maybe even 5 innings. But there is some positives over his last 2 outings. He has been better. He went 6 innings against the Brewers on May 12th. Mind you, that's the game where Ali Marmol, Daniel Descalso all got thrown out. It kind of started this Cardinals turnaround was that game, and it was Miles Michaelis who got the start in that one. He allowed 3 runs and picked up his 3rd win. Again, went 6 innings in that one, so a quality start. Then in his last outing, 5 strong against the Boston Red Sox, allows just 1 run on 2 hits. Did not get a decision in that particular game, but the Cardinals went on to win it by the score of 7-2, had a big inning late in that one, and they grabbed the victory. So, again, that's at least some positive momentum heading into Friday's game against the Cubs. So it's not all doom and gloom with Miles Michaelis on the mound right now. And with the day off on Thursday, the bullpen should be pretty well rested and ready to rock and roll when needed. So the Trinity, as we like to call them here on the podcast with Kittredge, Romero, and Helsley, they should be ready to go. They should be all hands on deck for this weekend against the Cubs. Now, the rest of the weekend, it's a bit up in the air on both sides, really. Saturday, Jameson Taillon is set to go for the Cubbies. The Cardinals, they've yet to announce their starter, at least at the time that I'm doing this, but it seems that despite his struggles in that number 5 spot, that Matthew Liberatore is indeed going to get another crack at making a start. It hasn't been good. We know that, which kind of, it sucks that the Cardinals don't have the depth that we thought they would. You know, coming into the season, you knew Steven Matz was going to get hurt at some point. It's just what happens every single year. And they were hoping that Zach Thompson and Matthew Liberatore would be able to handle that number 5 spot when Steven Matz went down. And so far, it hasn't worked. Again, it hasn't worked, just like last year when it was supposed to be Dakota Hudson and what was it, Woodward. Those were the guys. Jake Woodford. I don't know why I keep saying Woodward, but Jake Woodford. Those were supposed to be the guys that filled the spot when Matz went down. Didn't work. They sucked, and it's happening again this year. So it's unfortunate the Cardinals don't. Their plans for when Matz gets hurt, they just have not panned out so far. So we'll see if Matthew Liberatore can do better. If he does indeed get the start again, it hasn't been officially announced yet, but it looks like he's going to be the guy. Then on Sunday, the Cardinals will have their ace Sonny Gray on the mound. You know, you like that. You like him on the hill against the Cubs, who have yet to announce their starter for Sunday. Sonny in his career against the Cubs, he is 4-3 in 11 starts with a 2.98 ERA. Another fun aspect for this weekend is what's going on in the broadcast booths. Joe Buck, Chip Carey will handle duties on Bally Sports Midwest as well as on the MLB Network for Friday's game. For the first time since 1969, you'll have a Buck and a Carey working a Cardinals game. It happened back in 69 when Jack Buck and Harry Carey were working together as a team for the Cardinals. So that's a cool thing that's going to happen tonight. And then on Saturday, Adam Wainwright, Uncle Charlie, he's back in St. Louis. He'll be in the booth for Fox. And then Sunday Night Baseball, you've got the nationally televised game for Game 3. Plus, City Connects are this weekend, which adds some flair to it all. So should be a fun time at the ballpark. Cardinals have won 8 of their last 10, in large part due to their bats finally waking up and coming to life. The Cubs have lost 7 of the last 10, large part because their bats have gone into hibernation and have gone silent. And I, for one, am hoping it stays this way this weekend. But it should be a lot of fun. So I hope you can get out to the ballpark if you're in St. Louis. If not, make sure you're following along on Twitter X, because we'll be in there talking about everything going on with the games this weekend between the Cubs and the Cardinals. I'm looking forward to it. It should be a lot of fun. I'm excited about it, and I hope you are too. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, please give us a follow on Twitter X at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. Like, subscribe on YouTube. Help our channel and love for the Cardinals grow as we continue to make that push for 10,000 subscribers. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason, and I will see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.